The 2026 NHL Entry Draft conversation has gotten even more interesting. A new challenger has emerged, and we're going to be diving into all that and more in today's video. Now, quick preview. Carson Carels is a guy that you are going to have to pay attention to, my friend. And we've got our good TSN analyst, Craig Button, who goes out there and summarizes why that is. Take a look at yesterday's Craigslist. Posted on March 24th, 2026 on the TSN website, Gavin McKenna reigns at the number 1 spot, and the Ruck Twins make a massive rise. We're going to leave a link in the description to the TSN article that goes over Craigslist, but we have a brand new selection of guys that have labeled themselves as top prospects, and one of the absolute top guys that is starting to slip a little bit. For Canucks fans especially, this is going to be an intriguing conversation. So here is Craig's list as of March 24th, 2026. At number 1, you have Gavin McKenna. Penn State University Nittany Lions left wing, 34 games, 51 points. He's pretty good. Number 2, you have Carson Carels out of the Prince George WHL system. 6'1" defenseman, 189 pounds, 73 points and 20 goals in 58 games played. That's a new one. That is a new one. Chase Reed is here at 3rd overall, followed by Ivar Stenberg and Keaton Verhoff. Oh my goodness. 2 of the potential top 3 guys are slipping in Craig Button's list. Not only that, but you have some really interesting names that have gone further down compared to what most would say is possible. Caleb Malhotra is ranked 11th overall. Tynan Lawrence is ranked 17th. There was a conversation as to whether or not this guy could be a 3rd overall pick by Vancouver because the Canucks liked him. And then you've got the 2 guys causing a ruckus. Marcus Ruck is ranked 12th. Liam Ruck is ranked 10th. Liam had fewer points than Marcus this season, but has consistently been ranked higher than his center brother. That's going to be a pretty interesting conversation to follow too, as both Ruck twins, they play their best when they're with each other. So I wonder if there is a possibility that they get split up. But this is a bona fide conversation starting top 5. McKenna, Carels, Reed, Stenberg, and Verhoff. And I wanted to talk a little bit about Carels over here, what makes him special, what makes him great, and what Craig Button had to say about this guy versus some of the other defensemen that are at the top of the draft. Carson Carels is 17, he is a left-handed defenseman, and his consolidated ranking on Elite Prospects is 7th. Elite Prospects has him at 5. Cam Robinson has him at 7. Craig Button's earlier list had him at number 5 too. Chris Peters says 11, Tony Ferrari says 23. Meanwhile, Kennedy has him at number 6, same with McKeen's. Daily Faceoff at 7, 8 by Draft Prospects Hockey, 7 by Sam Constantino, 16 by Smart Scouting, and 7 by Dauber Prospects. So Carson Carels is kind of hovering in that post 5 type of range, depending on who you ask. It's only Craig Button who has recently gone out there and given Carels that 2nd overall spot on his brand new Craigslist. Carels this season for the Prince George Cougars has 73 points in 58 games. He also did make the World Junior team, scoring an assist in 5 games over there. A miracle that he was actually able to play as an underage defenseman on the Canadian World Junior squad. But he really exploded offensively from last season. He only had 35 points in 60 games. Now he has doubled his production in the same amount of games played, essentially, as an alternate captain for the Cougs. And there's a lot to like out of the way he plays. Leave it to Craig Button to go out there and specifically acknowledge why that is. You see, Button made an appearance on SportsCenter with Jay Onrait, discussing why he has Verhoff dropping to 5 in his draft rankings. He uses some comparables to explain his reasoning. Carels apparently has Nick Lidstrom vibes. Chase Reed has Zach Werenski vibes. Sterling has Kucherov vibes. And Verhoff has Ekblad vibes. Verhoff is a good prospect, but how can you put an Ekblad type ahead of a Lidstrom type or a Werenski type or a Kucherov type? It has more to do with the top four separating themselves from the pack. It doesn't mean Verhoff is not a good prospect. Now that is a very intriguing way to think about these guys. I'll just say this right here, at the very top of it all. If Nick Lidstrom 2.0 is available in this year's draft, and he ends up becoming as good as Nick Lidstrom is or was, or I guess you could say is, Lidstrom's still a total beaut, isn't he? Then absolutely sign me up for getting this guy. It's just, we hadn't really seen much about Nick Lidstrom being touted in the game of Carson Carels up until Craig Button said it on SportsCenter the other day. I don't know if anybody really had that conversation in mind. When you look at the comparisons, it's like, okay, if you ranked them individually, you just took the comparison names and then you ranked them amongst themselves. Yeah, okay, I can understand why you would rank a Lidstrom ahead of a Werenski and especially an Ekblad type. Kucherov being down there at number 4, certainly a take, but I guess Button is also thinking about whether or not these guys are likely to hit that ceiling and what that possibility could be. But for Carson Carels being compared to the perfect human, a guy that was an absolute monster, a former third-round pick by Detroit, by the way, arguably the best defenseman to ever suit up to play the sport of hockey, period. I mean, that's pretty high praise for a guy that is now being ranked number 2 in this year's entry draft after being pretty much outside the top 5 for most of the picture. This opens a bigger conversation for Vancouver Canucks fans as well when you think about whom it is could be near the top. If there are teams that are drafting second or third that really, really want to go for those defensemen, then maybe it opens the door for Vancouver to having an easier path to a Stenberg or a McKenna. I do think Gavin McKenna is still the number 1 guy, but Ivar Stenberg, obviously, wouldn't be surprising if the Canucks had him ranked higher. These defensemen, though, are interesting. It's already been reported the Canucks like Keaton Verhoff. They met with him. They were able to have some conversations with him. It seems like if there is a possibility for Vancouver to get Verhoff, if all the other guys are taken, they'll take it in stride. They like this guy. It's already been reported that's the case. He's right-handed, he's a defenseman, he can play with Zeev Buium, there's a lot to like there. You could say the exact same thing about Chase Reed as well. The fact that he's gone out there as a top prospect who happens to be a right-handed guy. That still is a super important part of the conversation too. Whether or not it's as important as some might realistically think applies to the National Hockey League in 2026 and beyond, that's an entire other conversation. But still, Chase Reed didn't have production like Carels this season. Chase Reed, 48 points, 45 games. Pretty much the same compared to what he did last year. But there already were some other draft lists that have Reed as a better defenseman and a higher projected defenseman than Keaton Verhoff. Now we got 2, which I guess makes sense considering the fact that Carels is producing a hell of a lot of points. I mean, you cannot discredit this point production. 73 in 58 games is very, very good. The Nick Lidstrom comparisons, that's an entire other conversation, but yeah, for Vancouver Canucks fans, it's certainly getting a lot more spicy now, isn't it? With all that said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the latest Craigslist and the fact that these guys are now listed as the top 5? Keaton Verhoff slipping to number 5, a Nick Lidstrom-esque defender going up to number 2. Could the Canucks reach on one of these guys? I don't know. I do not know. Let's just go out there and finish off this video by reading what Button had to say about Carels. He draws parallels stylistically between Carels and Lidstrom, the way he commands and controls the game. There's no way anybody's going to be Lidstrom, but the manner in which he plays in every single regard, the big minutes, the hard minutes, the offensive and defensive play, and the timely play, he's got all those elements. Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.